Hello and welcome to Mollie's Motif. This is Emily and we have another fabulous challenge over at Fantabulous Cricut Challenge blog this week. Challenge Me Monday is fruit salad, and you need to create a card or project that has any of the Cricut cuts of fruit. And there are so many different options out there with the different cartridges. So it might be, the hardest part might be trying to figure out which fruit cut you want to use. But today I am going to be using a cut from the Celebrate with Flourish cartridge. It's a Cricut-like cartridge, and it's a really fancy font and really flurry, and just like it says Flourish, all the different cuts that are on here. And I'm going to be using, there is a strawberry that to me looks like a chocolate covered strawberry, and I don't know anyone who doesn't like those, so I'm going to be using that cut, and I'm going to go through kind of the process of how to get the cuts on this cartridge, because it can be a little bit confusing. It's not as straightforward as some of the other cartridges, so I may be doing it completely wrong, but I'm going to just show you how I obtained my cut, and there's going to be a little extra added cuts and alterations that I'm going to be making to make this cut work for me. So we'll get into that a little bit. I'm also going to be using just one simple cut from the Mini Monograms cartridge. It's this flower cut on the front. It's just a basic. I pulled this cartridge out for the scallop, but then I saw this flower cut, and I think that matches my paper a little bit better, so that's why I went with this one. The paper that I'm going to be using today on my card, it comes from My Mind's Eye. It's the Indie Chic or Indie Chic, however you say that, paper pack. It's a 6x6, and I love this paper. This is totally my style, totally my colors. I love it. Just kind of flip through here so you can kind of see some of the patterns and the colors, but it's an awesome paper pack. And so all my designer paper that I'm using on my card has come from this pack. The colors all coordinate, the patterns all coordinate, everything just goes together so nicely. So I love this paper, and I'm just really excited to be able to use it today. So my card for today, it's going to be a standard A2 basic white card. It opens this way, and my mat I've cut just out of some brown paper, and I don't know if my cutter, I think my blade on my cutter is just bad, but it kind of frayed my edges, but then I kind of liked that look, so I kept it. I didn't care too much. So I just made sure that whenever I cut any of my paper, it all kind of had that frayed look to it. So I just have a basic mat, brown mat, and then this is from that My Mind's Eye Indie Chic paper pack. So that'll go on top. And I was watching a video from Mary over at Cards TV, and she put together a really cute card, and I just really liked the layout. So I've kind of taken the layout from her. So if it looks familiar, that's why. And then I have another, just a smaller strip of the brown, and then again, I don't measure. I apologize. I should probably just get the measurements and put them down for you so you know what they are, but I do a lot of eyeballing and just cutting to what I like. So anyway, here's my strip of the other pattern paper that I'm using, and I'll just be putting that across the card that way. And then I'm going to have two other cuts on the top of my card. I've cut a banner out, and that'll go right like that, and I did stamp that with my sentiment. And then here's the cut from the Mini Monograms cartridge. It's just kind of a fun little flower, and it matched the flowers that are in the pattern paper, so that's why I chose that, because I thought that looked really cute. And that'll just go here, and then my strawberry is going to go right on top of my flower cut. I did ink around my edges. I do use, when I ink, I do use the Tim Holtz Tea Dye Distress ink, and I use a makeup sponge to ink my edges. so it's a really cheap way to go. So there is some inking around my edges. And as far as my sentiment, it is have a sweet day, which is totally applicable with the chocolate covered strawberry. But I didn't have this stamp. I had to kind of create it. I had a stamp set that I found at Studio G. If you're lucky enough to find their small little dollar stamp sets, I had one. It says "Have a Sweet St. Patty's Day," and so I just basically cut that up into the saying that I wanted, into the little pieces, and then you can just arrange it on your acrylic block however you want. And then when you stamp it, you can't even tell that they were in pieces. It looks just like that's how it was supposed to be. So if you don't mind cutting up your stamp sets, and I have no problem cutting up stamp set that cost me $1, if it gets me the result that I want. And if I ever wanted to use the original stamp, what it was for, you can just piece it back together and no one would ever know. So that was kind of, the first time I did that, I was like, oh, should I even be cutting these stamps up? But it's no big deal. It totally works. So that's just an idea. So I have that stamped there. Okay, so let's move on now to the strawberry. This cut from the Celebrate with Flourish cartridge, and kind of go through how they have you cut that out. And when you look at how they want you to cut it, there's always the shadow option, which is always the shift key to the cut. So I don't know why that's the second cut, but that's always on this. It's always the shadow is the shift key. So the base cut is, how I understand it, it's what you want the flourish, the frill, what you want that to be, what color you want that to be. And then, of course, there's a shadow. And then the next cut is, sometimes I think you have to cut it twice, depending on what colors you want. In this instance, I cut it out of green and brown because I want the leaves and the stem to be green, but I want the chocolate to be on the bottom half of the strawberry. So I cut that twice, once out of green and once out of brown. And on the brown cut, I'm most likely just going to have to cut that top off because it's going to be layered and going to be hidden. But I'm going to have to alter that to get the effect that I want. And then, of course, the easiest cut is the top, which is what part of the strawberry is shown that's not dipped in the chocolate. So I basically cut 4 cuts. I cut the base, and then I cut the layer twice in 2 different colors, and then I cut the shift layer out of the top of the strawberry. And I didn't use a shadow. I don't know if I'm going to. I'll decide that, but I didn't use a shadow for right here. So here's my chocolate, the brown, and I'm just going to cut that top off. And it's going to go on top of the green because I want the green stem and leaves to pop up. And then here's the top of the strawberry that's not covered in chocolate. And then you just put that on the base mat so it has the flourish out behind, which is a different color than everything else. So that's kind of how I put that together. I don't know if you were able to see that, but that's how I figured out how to do it, and how the results that I wanted, that's what I had to do. And so once I get that put together, that's just going to go on the center of my flower cut. Okay, so this is basically the layout that I'm going for. I may add a few other elements. I may put a shadow behind some cuts. I may pop stuff up. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly yet. And I'm probably going to be adding some flat back pearls. I found this set in the bargain bin at Michael's. It was $1.50. And it's fun bling and fun colors, and I thought that matched the paper pack just perfectly. So I'll probably put a few of those on my cards somewhere, and I'll get that figured out. and I will come back and show you how it all came together. Okay, so here is my finished card. I went ahead and popped up the little strawberry on one thickness of foam tape, but everything else is just flat. This was the only piece that I used foam tape on. I used 3 of the flat back pearls, 1 of each of the sizes, because I thought that kind of looked cute. And then the inside, I did something a little bit different. I've never done this before, but I made a little pocket with some of the scrap pieces from the paper that was left over from that Indie Chic paper pack from my Mind's Eye. So I just made a little pocket like you would in a mini, and I made a tag, and I used tags, bags, boxes, and more. I just used one of the rounded tops from this cartridge and tied a ribbon through it, and you know, just use more of those scraps. I really liked the paper, and I didn't want to not use it. So I just kind of, and there's a mat that you could write a handwritten note on. You can stamp another sentiment here. I'm not sure what I'm going to use this for, so I didn't stamp anything yet. But you could also you could do this with a gift card. You can make a little pocket on the inside and put a gift card in. But I've never done this before, and I kind of liked that idea, that concept. So that's how the inside turned out. And I did ink around the edges of my tag with the Tim Holtz Tea-Dye Distress ink, the same as the front of the card. And I think it just turned out really cute. Like I said, I don't know exactly who I'm going to give it to or for what purpose. Maybe just send it to my friend who I haven't seen for a while, you know, and just kind of send her a little note. But I do like how that turned out. I hope that you were able to join us at Fantabulous Cricut Challenge Blog this week. Again, our challenge for today is fruit salad, and you just need to use a cut of any sort of fruit. There's so many choices out there, so many different fruit cuts on different cartridges, that I think that will be the hardest part, is choosing which one you're going to use. So thanks for stopping by, thanks for watching my video, and we will catch you next time.